My next guest is a very silly, talented man. He is starred, of course, in Monty Python's Flying Circus, also in Fawlty Towers. He can currently be seen in the film Privates on Parade, which opens April 13th. Please welcome back John Cleese. John! Hi, John. Good to see you again, sir. Nice to see you. I've been hearing on the radio some advertisements that you are doing that are very, very clever and very nicely done, and I think they're terrific.
Thank you. Colored and Bowser.
Yeah, they're little candies, right?
That's
Hard
right,
candies?
yeah, very British candies.
Like toffees or whatever?
Yeah, toffees and fudge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of those, a lot of advertisements and stuff?
I go anywhere. Anywhere people give me any money at all to advertise that. I just go. I've done mayonnaise in Norway. I did the post office in Holland. I did shoes in Denmark, fish fingers, real estate and pretzels in Australia.
Doing some beer, right?
Beer here, Kronenbourg beer here. I'm just a whore, you know.
Well, that may be true, but the ones I've heard are very, very nicely done. Very distinctive.
I'm a good whore, you know.
Yeah. And also, somebody was telling me this afternoon, a member of our staff, that you have a film production company, but it's not theatrical film.
No, nobody can believe this, but we actually, 12 years ago, we started making training films. So if you want to know how to run a meeting or take a decision or interview someone...
Is it for corporations?
Corporations, that's right. There's selling films, there's management films, all sorts of training films. We've made about 60 in about 12 years, and they're actually distributed in the States, too.
Is that a lucrative business to be in?
It's very comfortable now, I must say. It's very nice. It's taken away the necessity to worry about bills just in the last 3 years.
Well, that's
lovely. Means I can take a year off.
Yeah.
This is the last work I do this year.
Well, congratulations. Jesus, very early to be knocking off.
I know. Lucky me.
Now, speaking of working or not working, are there going to be any more Monty Python projects, films or
well, I'm
TV?
not sure.
Or...
I don't think any of us are very keen at the moment, because the trouble is when you get past 40 and you put on weight a bit and get a bit reactionary in your political views. Well, no, seriously, what happens is that you get a clearer idea of what you think you ought to be doing.
Yeah.
And there's 6 of us now, right? And the 6 of us sit down and argue what we ought to be doing, and we're pulling too much in different directions. And I think that we'll make better programs and better projects now.
Individually.
If we split, well, yeah, or split into 2s and 3s, you see. I mean, I am, in fact, going to write one thing this year, and I hope that Michael Palin will be in it, because, you know, I love working with Mike. I like working with all of them.
Now you mentioned that your ambitions and views of yourself kind of crystallize. Now, what is it that you have a better view of yourself doing now that you didn't have, say, 10 years ago?
Well, did you know I wrote a book with my ex-psychiatrist? Did I tell you that?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, I used to go to therapy when my first marriage was breaking up. I went to group therapy for 3.5 years. And I thought this guy was really bright, and he knew a lot of things I wanted to know more about. So I got to know him socially about a year afterwards. And about 2-3 years ago, I suggested to him we should write a book. And so we wrote a book which came out last September.
Yeah.
We haven't got a publisher yet. And that fascinates me, psychiatry. And
is this a funny book?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny and serious. Yeah. I mean, we use humor to put serious ideas across, a bit like the trading film.
Yeah, you're kind of an educator now, in a broad sense.
Well, I always enjoyed it. I taught for 2 years, believe it or not. Yeah.
And another... Oh, no, we're going to do the clip later? Yeah. Okay, we have a bit of your newest film, Privates on Parade, which we'll get to. And, oh, by the way, Gene Beckwith will be coming back, if we have time.
Right.
And I understand you have a stupid human trick. Oh, we got plenty of show left, so come on back, folks. More with John, please. The movie is Privates on Parade, John, and tell the folks what we're going to see here.
Well, it's a very quick clip. I'm in charge of a kind of song and dance unit that's going around entertaining the British Army in Singapore, Malaysia, 1949, and the guy in charge of the group, who's played by Dennis Quilley, comes from a different kind of background to me, so the friction between us gives a bit of fun.
John Cleese in Privates on Parade, soon to be out, or is it out now?
It starts New York Cinema Tuesday.
Thanks for your help, Giles. This your new command?
Oh, my dear fellow, hadn't you heard? Oh, I see a very special unit.
Yes?
Oh, yes. They didn't want to waste an officer with my knowledge of the jungle.
I should think not.
So they gave me command of a unique operation covering the whole of Southeast Asia. Covering it with what? I'll tell you, Henry. Song and...
Major dear! This is too much. A whole squad of your gallant lads are doing physical jerks or something on the barrack square right next to the theatre. My dear, the din. The stamping of their boots, the banging of their butts, the petulant shrieks of the corporals, and the first night of Jungle Jamboree is only 2 days away. How can we possibly rehearse? I mean, we are artistes, not foundry workers.
Got to rush, Giles. Thanks for your help.
Privates on Parade. Tell you what, we have to do a commercial. We'll be back, and we'll wrap up our stupid human tricks. Mr. Cleese will be participating, so come on back. We're very close to the end of the show. I want to thank Mr. Cleese for being here, also Kathleen Turner and everybody who helped us out with Stupid Human Tricks. Also, NBC newest employee Wendy Moran, Palin the Man, and our announcer Bill Wendell. Tomorrow night, Jerzy Kosinski and Tom Hanks will be here. John, you had a trick you wanted to do. Now, Gene, if you don't get it tonight, can you come back and do it tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay. This is John Cleese. Very nice. Oh, yeah. All right. Now, Gene? You need another, get another cigarette down there.
Yeah.
But you can come back tomorrow if we don't see this tonight.
Sure.
Because I'd hate to disappoint viewers.
I know, we can't disappoint them.
Yeah, I understand you have some family watching tonight.
Yeah, I do.
Gene may have to come back tomorrow night. I'm awfully sorry, folks. Good night. My next guest is one of the creators of Monty Python, of course. He also starred as Basil Fawlty on a hilarious British television series called Fawlty Towers, and is the co-author of this book, Families and How to Survive Them. Please welcome John Cleese. It's a good look.
It is.
Nice to see you.
It's not one of Eva's. I brought it over from London.
Oh, that was your own.
Something
An amazing coincidence. Yes, sir. Nice to see you again. You know, over the holiday, I watched The Meaning of Life. And it's a terrifically funny movie. And there's a couple of scenes in there that, to describe them to people, would make you absolutely nauseous. But when you see them, they make you nauseous, but they're also very, very, very funny.
Well, there's a scene about the fattest guy in the world who comes to the restaurant, eats so much he explodes.
Yeah.
I was in this very, very posh restaurant in London with Michael Frayn, you know, who wrote Noises Off, and he's written a movie that I'm making next year. And he just said how much he'd like Meaning of Life. And he suddenly, I said, what? And he said, over your shoulder. And I turned around. And the biggest man was walking in, and I found out that he eats there on Tuesday lunchtime, so I'm going to invite all the Python guys and not say anything about it. His name is Mr. Herbage, which is a great name.
But it's, even when it was described to me, the scene, before I had seen it, I thought, you can't possibly do a scene like that and make it funny. But it is. It was very funny, and the movie was also very funny.
Yeah.
Now, the book, on the other hand, is not necessarily funny.
Deeply, deeply serious, David.
Yeah.
It's a very serious business.
How did it come about, and what's in it? What do we have here?
Well, I was in therapy with this guy, Robin Skinner, for 3.5 years. This is about 10 years ago or something like that I started, and I just thought the stuff that I was learning in that therapy group, it was a group of about 8 guys. We used to get together, guys and girls, we used to get together for an hour and a half every Thursday evening late. And I found a lot of the stuff in there was absolutely fascinating. So I came out about 1978 out of the group. And about a year later, I got to know Robin socially. And then I said to him after a year or two, I said, why don't we try and get down some of the stuff, you know, so that people can get these fascinating ideas without actually having to go into therapy, which is, as far as I know, the only way to get them. So we've done it in a very straightforward kind of dialogue way.
Yeah.
And he's put together a lot of ideas I don't think have been put together before. And it's also quite funny. You know Bud Handelsman, who is, I think, the best cartoonist in the world? In fact, this is not my opinion. This is objective
his work
knowledge
here on the cover,
revealed
right?
to me in a higher state of consciousness.
All right, I tell you what, we gotta let us do a commercial, John, and we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the stuff here in the book. We'll be right back. What has been the reaction of the book by the folks in Great Britain?
Well, this is the amazing thing. It's actually a bestseller in England. Well, you know what an uptight, embarrassed, apologetic bunch the English are. I mean, firemen come into a building that's on fire. They don't shout fire or anything. They say, I'm going to cry. You know, it just clears the building faster than anything. And they're such an uptight bunch. And this has actually been a bestseller, though, which is amazing.
So generally, is therapy a popular sort of thing, the way it is here in the United States?
Now, well, you know that people in the Midwest and South might be a little bit skeptical about it, but multiply that by about 30,000 times. I mean, the British are terribly... I mean, the national sport is being embarrassed, you know?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And everybody sits around being embarrassed, trying to pretend that they're not embarrassed, you know? And you just... you only have to put a drunk onto a subway train, you know, and just getting all this stuff, and the British sit there trying to memorize the frozen pea advertisements, I think. And they're just a wonderfully uptight and a nation, and they just apologize and apologize and apologize, and they're just embarrassed and embarrassed.
They just want to overlook everything.
Yeah. Oh yes. And they also they downgrade it in language. I mean, if somebody goes berserk with an axe and kills one of the maids and two of the footmen, people say he was a trifle upset. You know. And that way we kind of, you know, we keep it all under control.
I tell you what, let us do another commercial, and then we'll come back here again with John Cleese, folks. Okay, the book is Families and How to Survive Them, John. We have 20 seconds. Good night.